What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to lesson number 30, Tentacular Divinity. This is a lesson about interconnectedness and beginning to see through the eyes of spirit. And what a reclamation of creative power to know that the same eyes that you see the world around you with are the same ones that spirit sees other people through. So if spirit is living in your mind, if spirit is living within you, if you're connected in that way and you're in this present moment awareness, you have so much potential, because it means that as much as you might feel disconnected from things, as much as you might feel disconnected, maybe even from yourself in some ways, it means that there's always a way that you can reconnect to the higher thought, to the higher vibration. Tentacularity is a little bit of this interconnectedness, and it's a concept from Donna Haraway. So I want to make sure I cite that source. As much as we may be at a distance, or as much as you or your neighbor might be at a distance, you're still connected by these invisible threads and in this field, right? We're still connected to one another through and by our humanity. And what a gift. That's so comforting. It's such a comforting thing, because it means that even if it doesn't seem like it, or even if odds are stacked against things, there's still a way that we can return to this connection between and to one another. We can still return to this connection. The really cool part about this lesson is that we begin to see that everything that is inside of you that you see is what you are. So you see what you are. So the cool part here is that if spirit lives in your mind, according to A Course in Miracles, the adjacent workbook lesson, if spirit lives in your mind and that's what you're seeing, you're also seeing yourself in the same way. So this is like the flip side, the positive side of projection here, right? Where we can then project what we know to be true of ourselves into the world, where we're seeing spirit within us, but we're seeing it outside of us first, and then it's like an awareness that we take in as well. But it's sort of a feedback loop that starts to form, where we can't help but see the light in other people. What I love about this is that it kind of democratizes spiritual connection, right? It removes all of the things that stand between you and spirit, because it's in you. You don't have to go to a place. You don't have to read a particular book. You don't have, although I love them, don't tell them I said that. But you don't have to adhere to a particular practice. It's all within you right now. It's within you right this red hot rockin' minute right now. It's within you. What a gift that is. It's comforting. It's comforting to know, because then it means that we are on such a search. It can feel so endless every day to be on this almost like a hamster wheel, going. We're rushing through to get to that end point and to be enlightened, to find spirit, to get that connection. And we learn that it's been there all along. And part of seeing is also what you can't unsee. This is the really neat part about this particular lesson, Tentacular Divinity, and this interconnectedness from seeing spirit everywhere and in everything. There's stuff that you then can't unsee. You can't unsee your divinity. You can't unsee your connection to spirit. You cannot unsee that in other people. I think about when I had, I've been seeing links for courses and things like that about spiritual awakenings, and I think about one aspect of my own in 2017, where I had that sort of kundalini awakening, and it popped in my back, and then I had that energy go right up, and just how that felt. But the things that I couldn't unsee afterwards, it was this stuff that I couldn't unsee. I tried. I tried really hard, but I couldn't unsee it, right? And that is such a beautiful blessing, because in the end, it means that you have that connection forevermore. And it may get louder or quieter at different times in your life. It might feel, they call it the void sometimes when we're on journeys and we're unearthing things and getting more connected. All of that is true. And, that those are different places and they're part of the journey. And this is this beautiful seeing. So what can't you unsee? Your creative spark today is just to spend a day in quiet, to spend a day in a quieter place within you or outside of you. I like to spend some days almost totally silent. It's difficult but I like to spend some days in complete silence, saying nothing, because that way I'm taking in more, and it gives me a chance to pull back and truly observe everything around me. And when I go into those places, what I often do, and I encourage you to do this as well, is just to ask, just close your eyes, get into a place to set the intention for the day in the morning, and just say, Spirit, please show me you in everyone that I meet today. Please give me not proof, but an energy of recognition that I can then resonate with in the world outside of me. Give me that connection. Give me that noticing eye. Give me that observer, please, so that I might see you in other people. Making that request sets the intention, and it also allows the energy to flow, and your guides and angels and spirit itself to do the work to connect you, right? To connect you with those visions of itself. And then you begin to see this energetic loop that starts to turn and starts to move and swirl through everything, where you begin to notice. And then you realize that you don't want to stop seeing, because the sight is so beautiful, because you're not just beholding other people. You realize that this is the result of you seeing yourself clearly as part of that as well. And if spirit is everywhere all the time and you're seeing with it, so if it's in your mind, what better creative potential and power is that? Because then you get to decide every day what choice you're going to make. Because if it exists in your mind, so if spirit exists in your mind, it exists elsewhere too, but just for the sake of this exercise, tentacular divinity, if it exists in your mind, right, it means that it's always there, right? It's always a choice. We have a choice most of the time to choose fear or love. Well, all of the time we can choose that. Sometimes it's very hard. Right? I recently found out that a relative is not well, and how do you choose love in that instance? Right? Fear seems like the most logical response. Fear seems like the most reasonable response, right? That feels like the most comfortable thing. How do you get comfortable with it? Well, you sit with the discomfort first. Because when you bring that vision of discomfort to them, you won't be able to see them in any other way than ill or not well, and you won't be able to hold the vision so that they can remember who they are too. It's a choice that we make, and we have to make it, because if we don't, we get tossed about like it's. I am thinking about a balloon in the wind. It just gets carried. There's nowhere that it really intends to go, right? It's filled with nothing, and you are filled with so much light, and we forget this sometimes, but that's something that you can't unsee it once you see it. And that is the gift. That's the gift, because then you recognize the choice that you have when you feel things that disconnect you, when you forget that you are tentacularly connected to everything around you, and as a result, that you can also experience spirit as much as you can bring it to others with your perspective, and not just, slap a happy face on it and say, well, yeah, it's good, it's great. No. We're talking about seeing the holy in the pain. We're talking about seeing these holy injectures of light into the everyday, where we have choices. I think about that relative, and they have an amazing perspective, and they are a fighter and funny and so many different things, and their attitude is so good. But it is one of those scenarios where you see the light. You have the option to see the light in them, right? And even when I've been going through, different ailments and things like that, when people see you as disconnected from God, when people see you as disconnected from spirit, and they look at you through those eyes, you can tell, because you can tell that you are being beheld by something other than present moment awareness. They're bringing a story about what that moment should mean for you based on their knowledge of that thing, or their knowledge of that particular experience or ailment or problem or right? So it does take effort, but the good news is that it's within you, right? Like, you have that choice because it's in your mind all the time. So for your creative spark, spend that day walking around. Look for the divinity. Look for the tentacularity in the way that you're connected to other people, because you are. You really are. So that is your lesson for today, your little tidbit here. Lesson number 30. If this resonated or you liked it in some way, please like and subscribe. It helps me to grow this channel, and I just, generally speaking, really appreciate you stopping by and lending your eyes here and your energy. So thank you so much for that. But if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.